Welcome to Arsenal Kids Podcast.
Hello and welcome to Arsenal Kids Podcast. My name is Madi and I'm joined by my co-host Ben. It is great to have you join us for this episode.
Yes, hello listeners. Hello Maddie. Welcome to episode 169. It is great to have you join us. A mixed bag of results, but as always, a lot of football to talk about on this episode.
Yes, Ben. And we will look at the men's team win in part 1 and the women's team's loss in part 2.
Sounds like a plan, and there's no shortage of incidents to talk about, even if the goals were few and far between in these games, with just a 1-0 win for the men's and a 1-0 defeat for the women.
And we will sprinkle some news of our player online in there as well.
Let's do that. And don't forget to reach out to us with your own questions at any time. Just email them or get someone to help you email them to info@arsenal.kids as you help us to grow this Arsenal Kids community.
Because we would love for you to join us on this adventure together.
We would indeed. And Maddie, first things first, it was the men's team that headed to Molineux Stadium to face Wolverhampton, and the team came in on the back of a 12-game unbeaten run in the league, and we started promisingly with Kai Havertz missing 2 big chances with his head. The first missing the goal, the second he hit well, but the keeper made a lucky save.
But then came the moment that defined the match.
You are correct, Maddie. And I know that eventually that we did win this game, and I don't want to take anything away from that, and we'll get to it ourselves in a moment. But all that everyone is talking about from this game is not the goal, not even that the Gunners won, but about the red card that was given to Miles Lewis-Skelly for what we've been told was serious foul play. To say that it was controversial would be a bit of an understatement.
I think that many of the Arsenal's players could not believe it.
They were not the only ones, Maddie. I also could not believe it. The Wolves players broke quickly on a counter-attack from a corner from memory, and Miles Lewis-Skelly did what every good defender might do in that situation, give away a bit of a cynical foul, essentially purposefully tripping up the player to stop the counter-attack situation. And that would allow then the team to get players back to properly defend what might be a promising attack for the opposition. All day, every day, players would expect to get a yellow card for doing that. It's something you need to cop on the chin as you take one for the team. But referee Michael Oliver seemed to want to make the game about himself and decided to issue a red card instead, citing the dangerous contact that was made.
But isn't that what we have the VAR for? To help stop bad referee decisions?
Maddie, I would have thought that was the case, but for whatever reason, the VAR suggested that the referee's decision was correct, and so that red card stood. I think even some of the Wolves players could not believe that Miles was sent off. Miles certainly was in disbelief, but he did have to leave, and we got to the halftime break with the scores level at 0-0, but with Wolves having a player advantage, it was always going to be tough going.
Until one of their own players got a red card as well.
Yes, João Gomez was sent off for his second bookable offence, a foul on Urian Timber that, if I'm honest, was probably worse than the Miles Lewis-Skelly one. But anyway, it meant that the teams were level in terms of players with 10 apiece, and within 5 minutes of the Wolves player getting sent off, we took the lead. Martinelli cut in from the right-hand side. His cross was only half cleared, and Riccardo Calafiore was there. He'd come on at half-time following the red card, and he thumped the ball low in off the post on the half volley.
A delightful finish from the Italian on his return from an injury.
And it meant that the score was 1-0 to the Arsenal. From that point on, we really managed the game out, giving away very little and ensuring that despite the referee's bad form in the game, we were still able to get the 3 points and keep us within touching distance of Liverpool, who currently remain top of the table.
And next up for the team, men.
Well, Maddie, next up in midweek, we're into our final Champions League phase game, match day 8, and we're headed to Spain to face them away from home. That is Girona. A win or draw will 100% assure us of a place in the last 16, but even if we lose, only a massive change in course of goal difference will mean that we miss out on going straight through to the round of 16. With these last games, all 18 of them being played at the same time, so we'll be able to keep up to date with the live scorelines.
And Ben, you spoke about some of our men's team players are on loan.
Yes, Maddie, we have Albert Sambi Lukongo, Carl Hein and Fabio Vieira, who all played 90 minutes with Sevilla, Real Valladolid and Porto respectively. And in Brazil, also on loan, is younger player Marquinhos, who replaced William at halftime in Cruzeiro's 1-1 draw. Great to see them all in action and getting minutes to aid their development.
Okay, well let's leave it there for part 1. And we'll be right back after this with part number 2. Welcome back, and Ben, straight to the end of our Super League hopes.
Yes, Maddie, the women's team, they gave it a good crack and had some good passages of play against our league leaders, Chelsea. But while the game was goalless until late, it means we're really, with the loss, going to struggle to overtake Chelsea now in the Super League.
But the big talking point of the first half was Caitlin Ford taking off due to an injury.
Yes, our Aussie was replaced by Frida Mornham just before halftime after a muscle injury, which also had apparently impacted her in training through the week. It meant that the team had to readjust a little before the second half took place.
But then, as we looked to hold on to at least a point, the referee pointed to the penalty spot.
Yeah, one of the big downsides, Maddie, of the Super League is the lack of VAR currently in use of the competition, and it was sorely missed at this point as Kim Little put a tackle on Lauren James in the box, and despite replay showing she got a clear first touch on the ball, the referee just saw James falling over and awarded the spot kick to Chelsea in front of their biggest ever crowd. But their biggest ever crowd is still some 25,000 less than Arsenal have had. But anyway, in the aftermath of the penalty being awarded, Katie McCabe was shown a red card for dissent. No doubt a little upset at the referee making her decision.
But from the resulting spot kick, Chelsea scored.
And it was Raiten who scored, and it was in about the 85th minute. We were then thankful to Daphne Van Domselaar in goal for keeping the scoreline just at 1, as with that extra player, Chelsea made a number of chances to double their lead, and we were unable to find a late equaliser. Meaning it was the first loss of Renee Slager's tenure as head coach of the Gunners, and it also means that we remain third in the Super League table, 10 points now behind Chelsea and just 1 point below Manchester City.
And what's next for the team, Ben?
Well, Maddie, next up we enter the Women's FA Cup midweek as we play the game at Meadow Park that was postponed earlier in January due to the pitch being frozen, and we are in the 4th round and will be playing Bristol City.
And what if we win?
Well, if we win, we'll be playing at home, or I guess you could say the winner of the game will be playing at home, and the 5th round tie will be against London City Lionesses in about a week and a half's time. Let's get through this game first, though, before we focus on any further games in the competition.
And with the loans, Ben, any women out on loan doing anything?
Well, Maddie, funny you asked that. You remember a last few episodes we've been reporting that some of our young women have gone out on loan to some of the teams in the Women's Championship, which is essentially the second tier of women's football, and they've already got starts for their teams. In particular, both Viviane Leah and Layla Harbert started as the midfield partnership for Southampton, who unfortunately lost in their last game. And Madison Earle, who went to Sheffield United, she came on in the 61st minute, but they also lost. Adding to the list of women on loan is Michelle Adjumang, who's a little bit older, and she played for Brighton and Hove Albion in the Super League. They also lost as she came on as a second half sub in that game. So while it's not all rainbows and unicorns with the results, each time that these young women are on the pitch, they're developing as future Arsenal stars. So let's hope they keep getting the game time for their loan clubs.
Okay, well, let's wrap it up for this episode. Thanks again for joining us on Arsenal Kids Podcast.
Before we sign off, we want to express our gratitude for your continued support. If you haven't already, please follow, like, and subscribe so you don't miss us in the future. Remember, your love for the beautiful game is what fuels our passion.
We would love for you to spread the word about Arsenal Kids Podcast.
Yes, please share our podcast with other Arsenal kids you know and help us to grow this amazing community together.
We hope to join you back on the pitch again soon.
Keep the spirit of the game alive, and until next time.
Goodbye.